Hey, my Liptons. Um, I wanted to do this video, and it just popped up in my head. I was just thinking about it, and I was just like, you know what? Let me just talk about it because you know me, I love to run my mouth. Ever since I started this YouTube channel, I just running my mouth. So, I was thinking about like boy bands and girl bands that we've had over the years, just like so many iconic, bands, girl groups, boy groups, like so many of them. And just to think like where we are now in 2023 when it comes to these bands. By the way, sorry, just FYI, I do have my Invisalign on, so it's gonna be tough for me to talk. But hopefully it can come out a little bit clear. But I do want to talk about, and the title of this video is honestly going to be I guess you can say like the erasure of the boy bands and the girl bands in America, in Western culture, just in general. And I'm talking specifically like people here in like American born, bred, came up bands here in America, and like just Western bands in general, and how like it's practically become extinct. I don't want to say it's fully extinct because I do want to talk about a particular band that's trying to come up in the ranks, and I don't want to like erase them, but like because I want to see where they're going to go. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit later in my video. But we need to be honest and to talk about the fact that like we literally there are no bands within America at this moment here in our culture, in our music, the music industry here in America that is popping at this moment. Like literally none. And it's just like it's so crazy to me because it's like I and so many other people, maybe even people who watch this channel, have watched so many bands in our lifetime. Obviously you have the solo artists, but you have like people who grew up who came into the industry solo, but then you had the boy bands which like helped us during our like our teenage years, our adolescent years. So it's like to see honestly like people, like I guess the new generation coming up, not get that same kind of like that music. And obviously people, and I'm gonna talk about K-pop a little bit later because I know y'all about to be like, oh well, what about the K-pop? I'm gonna talk about K-pop towards the end of my video, so I'm gonna get to it. But there's definitely well, I'm mostly talking about Western bands. Okay, so I just want to just talking. I don't want to talk about them specifically because I'm gonna bring up other bands that I don't have their pictures here. But it's just like you know, just going through like the like thinking about the 1970s, even going back then, like to like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. When you think about like the Destiny's Childs, like where they gave us, because Beyonce started off in a group, you know, or Kelly, Michelle, they started off in this group. They gave us so many iconic hits, and I don't have to name them all. It's like Say My Name, like Bills, 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 like Soldier, like Survive, like what I mean. So many hits that this group has given us, like you know what is it the what's it called, lose Catch My Breath, whatever, that Catch My Breath song. Just so many great hits that they've given us, especially for them being, black women in this industry, So it's like, and they're cemented within history, when you think about nsync. nsync is another one that's a part of our childhoods. Justin Timberlake one being the one, being the star of the quote unquote group, whatever. But we loved them all when we were younger. So it's like they've also given us hits. They gave us Bye Bye Bye. They gave us, you know, um tearing up my heart, like just great. We had our crushes as well, with these, especially with these boy bands. Y'all guys cannot say that we were not feeling especially Justin Timberlake when we were younger. So it's like we were just in love with these people, like The Backstreet Boys as well. The Backstreet. I just a side note. If I have to be honest, I always thought that the Backstreet Boys were better vocally compared to NSYNC. Is no shade. It's no shade. I always thought that they were better vocally. Like go back to their songs and like compare them. Because I remember back in the day, they really used to compare NSYNC and Backstreet Boys with each other. Like it was like it was healthy competition. And I honestly I feel like NSYNC is a little bit more impactful, even though Backstreet Boys were more better vocally. Backstreet Boys, obviously, I Want It That Way, Tearing Up My Heart. Like they have bops for days, but I just feel like I just feel like NSYNC didn't have that solo guy to come out of the group compared to where Justin Timberlake was able to really, really cement himself into this culture. And that's why I think that NSYNC is a little bit more impactful because Justin Timberlake really, people are gonna be like, yeah, he's Justin Timberlake, but he came from NSYNC. Whereas like the Backstreet Boys, it's like you need the group, like you can't have them by themselves. But that's a whole another topic. But we love Backstreet Boys. Backstreet Boys was extremely popular during that time, like late '90s, early 2000s. Um, if y'all don't know this group, this group is actually if I'm not a British group. If y'all guys don't know, they're called Westlife, and the reason how I was introduced to this group was through family members, like obviously people who live in Europe, my family members who live in Europe and that sort of thing. They were like, like this who you should be listening to. I'm like, who the hell is Westlife? And y'all need to go. This is a recommendation from me. Y'all need to go listen to I Lay My Love on You by Westlife and My Love. Like go listen to those two songs. You guys will fall in love with these people. Like they're so like I love their vocals are just amazing. I'm so upset like they didn't get the recognition that they got in America. Um Compared to how they got it outside of the US, because they had great success, but like in America, apparently what I've heard is that like the reason why they didn't pop up in America is because the record labels, the music industry in America was like, listen, we already got Backstreet Boys, we already got NSYNC, we're not trying to have a third boy band over here. Okay, it's enough. Okay, there's enough teenage girls over here screaming for these two bands. We've had enough, and I think that that's unfortunate because I think that this group was really really good vocally, and I thought that they had some great beautiful songs. You know, Obviously I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back, y'all. Jackson 5. And I put all these groups. What did that be? Destiny's Child, Jackson 5, Earth Wind and Fire, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think that all these groups are part of pop culture. I don't like to really do that divide thing, especially like with categories like, oh my God, this is urban. This is like, I hate that. I hate when, because, the urban thing is just a category for black and, colored people. Like, it's just like, I don't like that. I think that all these people have cemented themselves in popular culture. You know what I mean? And the Jackson 5 is definitely one of them. The Jackson 5 have amazing, amazing songs like I'll Be There, like, ABC, like just great songs, and obviously Michael Jackson came out to be, the king of pop, so it's like he's just the king. And it's like what this group was able to do, and like the barriers, especially during that time, y'all, if y'all don't remember, like MTV, if we're gonna talk, let's talk. MTV at that time, when it was developed in the what was it, the 80s, I believe. They were not trying to play these black people songs. Like, if you guys can go look it up and go look at these interviews, what Michael, especially Whitney Houston, had to say at that time, they weren't really too comfortable trying to play, African, black music, because they felt like it wasn't marketable, or it couldn't sell to the masses. And Michael Jackson, like the way he was able to bring this group up, I mean, and it's all of them too, like Tito, Jermaine, all of them, like, but like the way Michael Jackson was able to excel, and the people loved his music so much, like MTV really had no choice but to start playing Michael's music. So it's like you know, people don't really know like the history and some of the barriers that these black groups and these solo artists have done in order for like these new people right here, and it's no shade, these new people, and especially, you know, Destiny Child, obviously, because, you know, these, you know, you have the Jackson Fives, the Earth, Wind and Fires, the Supremes, that sort of thing. They've led the way. Like, they had to fight hard in order for their music to get recognized in the mainstream. So, and that's for everybody in this music industry. So, you know, and you know, and people are gonna say, oh well, you know, Michael Jackson was inspired by James Brown and everything. Okay, yeah, whatever, we'll give you guys that. But, you know, that, you know, yeah, so it's like, you know, the Jackson 5 was very iconic. We have right here Earth, Wind and Fire, you know, iconic group. 1970s fashion was on, most definitely. You know, I always recommend people going listening, like, to go listen to back in the day music, because I think that it's very soothing to the soul, and especially now with the music nowadays. Music goes so quick, and it's like people don't take their time with music nowadays as they did back in the day. So I always recommend people going back to like listening to, you know, 1970s music. Even me, I love like I love jazz. Like I will go back to listen to Ella Fitzgerald all the time. So it's like, you know, you have the Fugees. Like, you know, the Fugees were very iconic in the 90s. Like, gave us hits upon hits. It's like Lauryn Hill has not been the same, honey. Like, she's just like, she's just an amazing artist, and, you know, just great people, great artistry. Listen, y'all not gonna it's this is such a switch, but it's like, listen, I think Big Time Rush was one of my favorites when I was like, you know, when I was in middle school. Like, I was like, I love them as a group. I think that they're extremely underrated in this space, but I love their music. I thought that they were great. um but yeah, like I do think, like, it's just like we had so many groups within our culture, just in general, and in every genre, you know what I mean? Whether that be, you know, TLC, or whether that be, you know, Salt and Pepper. Like, you know, like you had so many options in R&B and pop, and, you know, whatever, rock, like so many of them. And personally for me, I feel like the last groups, I feel like in Western culture, I mean, that have really made an impact like that is like One Direction, from what I can remember. One Direction and Fifth Harmony. And those, that's, and honestly, it's not even that my opinion. I think that's the facts. Like, literally One Direction, but like the last boy band to like really pop off. Like, to have like the fangirls, like the, you know, like, so mainstream media, the casual fans just be listening to their music. I mean, even me, like, I wasn't like a big One Direction fan, but I knew you know, a few of their songs if it were to pop up, like Story of Your Life, Best Song Ever, like, you know, You Don't Know You're Beautiful. Like, I knew those songs. I knew those songs. So it's like, and it's like, and I knew when Zayn Malik went solo, because I was excited for him, because I always thought that Zayn Malik was the better singer in the group. But, and it's like, you know, One Direction really popped off. Like, they really became big. And I think they also, I feel like they were on like nsync Backstreet Boys level. And it's like, you know, Fifth Harmony was another group, you know, even though I think a lot of people didn't have faith in this group, but they ended up popping. Listen, Simon, I will give Simon Cowell his props. He really handled these groups marketing well. You know, Fifth Harmony had some bops. Like, they were, you know, they're another one too where I'm like, I'm a casual fan of them. I was a casual fan of them. I know a few of their songs. And, you know, I feel like Fifth Harmony has really cemented themselves in pop culture. They did. And I think that, you know, history is going to remember, you know, Fifth Harmony really well. I think that, like, you know, what, and you know, in a way, I think that, like, whether that be One Direction or whether it be Fifth Harmony, like, I think that it was sort of like, okay, it felt like almost like a this is it kind of vibe. Like, okay, this is what you're gonna get. And and when I felt like these people went solo, it was kind of like, okay, like, let's see where it goes from here. Where does the culture go from here when it comes to bands, male, female, that sort of thing. And here's the thing I do want to discuss. The music industry, when it comes to like boy bands and girl bands, it has not warmed up as much. I feel like there's an erasure happening at this moment. Well, no, the erasure has already happened. It's just like it's becoming an extinction with American bands, Western bands, that sort of thing. And I think that, and unfortunately, it's really affecting this particular group. If y'all guys don't know these people, they're called Flow. They've been getting some buzz on the internet, especially on Twitter. You know, people are saying like, you know, they're very talented, they can sing, you know, they're trying their best to perform well. You know, I even saw a video on Twitter. I think they were on treadmills trying to sing and everything like that, like trying to perform, trying to do choreography. So it's like you know, they're getting their little Matthew Knowles, Destiny's Child on, and they're really, really trying to break into the industry. And you know what? I commend them for that. Like, they have spirit, they have motivation, they have drive, and I hope that they do break through. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I personally, for me, I haven't really listened to any of their songs yet. I do want to get into them. It's just that at this moment, I know they're getting a lot of buzz on the internet. So I was like, you know what? I think one of these days I am gonna get into what Flow has to do, what Flow is about. But you know, I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say that it's not gonna be difficult for them, especially at this moment, because at this moment, what are the record labels? What are the mainstreams? What are the billboards and all these different people? What are they most focused on right now at this moment? When it comes to pushing bands, they're focused on K-pop. Okay, they're focused on the international market. Okay, and this is why I said that it's going to be real difficult for Flow to really, really get that mainstream push, to get that mainstream look, because I think that particularly the American market has really, really shut the door on American bands, on, you know, Western boy bands and girl bands. And it's really, really unfortunate that they're not investing as much into our homegrown bands than they are, you know, obviously going to, they're currently and have been doing for the past couple of years with, you know, particularly, you know, Korean bands. Okay. So it's no secret that, you know, the K-pop scene, the Korean music scene has gotten so much popularity in the United States, in so many other countries, but I'm talking specifically in the United States. Like, and I think I started to notice it when I was in college, honestly, like around 2016, I would say I started, for me, when I started to know, obviously, you know, it must have been popular even before then, but like, I personally haven't been paying attention until like 2016, because I feel like a lot of people were like talking about it, and you know, they're playing it, and I was like, what is this? Like, what is this new sound that's happening here? And you know, at the time, you know, it was like, you know, you had the Black Pinks, like the BTS, and you know, and it's like, those were the names I kept hearing. And I was like, what is this? Like, what is this, like a band or something? And it was a band. And you know, these are, you know, girl bands and boy bands, you know, from South Korea. Like, literally, like at this point, it's not even like, oh, they put their foot in the, like, they broke through in the American market when it comes to like the music and everything. Like, this was a rise. So yeah, so it's like they really, really got a lot of success here in the United States. There's a lot of people, a lot of people that love these groups. And I know obviously it's not only BTS and Blackpink, there's other groups as well, but I'm just, pointing those two out because I feel like those are the more like universal names that people know about. But yeah, like it, the main, like, the American market is mostly focusing on these groups, like these, Korean K-pop groups. And you're putting their money into that, like, at the end of the day, because they feel like they're in a way more marketable. It's like more of a need for that kind of music. Now, obviously, personally, if you're gonna be asking me, I personally am not like a fan of like the K-pop and that sort of thing. It's not my vibe. Um, it's just like I tried, but it's like, sonically, it's not really something that it's not digestible to me. And listen, you get this coming from a girl like and I love international music. At the end of the day, I love this is coming from a girl that literally does reaction videos and reviews on like Bollywood music and Bollywood movies and shows. So it's like I love my international stuff, but like obviously the K-pop scene is not my thing. It's not my area, but I know my sister is in love with them, like, and loves the music and the culture and everything like that. So yeah, this is the new bands. Like, these are the new bands that are going to be here in the United States. They're going to, they're practically overtaking that scene to the point where it's like everything else is being, it's not even being focused on. So I think that this is where the part where it's like Flow is going to have a lot of problems in getting that sort of push and audience, is because people are just way more invested in the K-pop scene. And I wish that there was space for all of them. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think that there's space for all of people in this industry. But it's like, unfortunately, you have these big companies and these people like, oh, maybe they might, they think that they're no longer marketable. Like this look, because it looks like Flow could have been popping during the time where like Fifth Harmony or One Direction could have been popping had they come out around that time. But I think that it's sort of like, I don't know, it seems like audiences have like moved past that and wanting something else, and this is what we're getting. So, it is what it is. But it's just a conversation to be had about like how it's just so much has changed within music. Like, now, like, it's like people are looking out, you know what I mean? People are looking out for music, like whether that be in Korea or like in India or France, whatever. It doesn't even seem like we're consuming our own music here in the United States. Um, it's just an interesting thing to be having a conversation about, especially when it comes to like bands and everything and groups, because it's like of how much like these groups had such a huge impact on our lives, like since we were young. So it's like, in a way, I do miss it. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Like, I do wish that we had our like Westlives and our Backstreet Boys and our NSYNCs, of like, maybe of another group of today or something like that we've had now. Like, I wish we had our options. I wish we had more options than, just obviously Korean bands and Korean boy bands and girl bands. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you guys think that like the American Western girl groups and boy groups are like officially extinct, and people, and the music industry is just looking to more Eastern music to put into the American mainstream? Or do you guys think that Flow can have a breakthrough moment in the United States? Like, do you guys think that they can have a breakthrough moment? Do you guys think that there is a space for them to really really get that momentum? Personally, and I hate to say this, I don't think so. I just think that time, like, it's just, I don't see it happening. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I can be proven wrong, because I would like to see that. I would like to see you know, these girls really, really come through and like show us their talents and show us like we can be next to like the BTSs and the Black Pinks and all that. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get up to 400 subscribers. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.